All right, this project is the Birdhouse project, and as you can see, I have the Birdhouse on my screen, just like you will have a printed out version. I've opened up the default when you start Vectorworks will be an untitled document. You can see it's right here. The first thing I would suggest doing is in the title document is go up and change the scale to 1:1. Okay, 1:1, because the birdhouse that we're drawing is small enough that you'd probably draw just in 1:1 scale. Okay, now here it's asking us to save this document. That's perfect. All right, so you want to save it to where you want to save it. Hit yes. Dialog box will come up. I'm going to save it in drafting. I'm going to save it in my Birdhouse folder, and then we'll just call this Birdhouse 1. Okay. One of the things that you notice at the bottom of my screen is as I hit keys, they pop up. I'm using software so that you can see the key I'm hitting. It will appear down here like so. Like I'm hitting Shift S to allow for a flyover tool, which we will learn about. And so the keys I hit will appear down here. So you're looking at essentially an empty space. There is a sheet of paper here, and that is something that even in the design layer, you do have a paper showing the size. So I actually do think it's handy because we can relate to how big a sheet of paper is. In this case, it's letter sized, 8.5 by 11. One of the things that you'll notice is there's an X in the middle right here. I'm going to zoom in. This is the X, not for the paper space, but actually for this and this. Okay, so what I want to do now is start our birdhouse. So looking at it, I think the face is probably the most important part of the birdhouse. Okay, you can see it. We're going to draw this in 3 dimensions. So the way Vectorworks opens up, the default is looking from the top. But because we're going to look at it from the front, let's change that view. There's 2 ways to do it. You can click up here and change this to front view, or you could also, if we're back in top, if you hit the 2 key on the 10 keys, okay, that's the 10 keys are those the numerical keys to the far right of your keyboard. That will actually change the view, and this is something important to learn. So front view, we have nothing in there, so they all look the same. But once we start making things, you'll see what I mean. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Now, in order to create a rectangle, which that's what we're going to make, this rectangle right here, this face, we're going to hit 4, 4. Okay, hit it twice, and a dialog box should come up. Ready? I'm going to do it again. 4, 4. Why doesn't it come up? 4, 4. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a rectangle just like this front face of the birdhouse has, and the hotkeys to do that is 4, 4, and a dialog box should pop up like this. As you notice, the class and the layer are set. Those can be changed later. For this project, we won't worry about those aspects yet. In this case, it does show the width and the height. That we will use. So the width of our thing is 6 inches, as you can see called out by this dimension, 6. And in Vectorworks, the way it's set up by default is inches are our primary measurement. So we do not need to state what that is. We just hit inches. Now, the next measurement we want is the height, which is right here, which is 10. 10. Now, see how there's these, I look at it as 9 pips, like on a dice, okay? These are the coordinates where you want to tell your box to go. In this case, we're fine with the center, okay? We're going to hit OK, and that's going to be on the next mouse click. We're going to keep it on this center. What I did is I right-clicked, and that told it where to live, okay? Now, we have 2 circles, this one and this one. We want to draw those on our rectangle. X is our select tool, then we can select it, okay? So, on this, a way to locate these 2 circles, as it shows here, it's 3 inches down, 3 inches up, is create some sort of guide for us. And there's many different ways to do it. One option is to draw a line. The 2 in the top bar, not the 10 key, creates a line. So you draw a line, pull it down, and you start to go in the direction you want. Okay? In this case, we're going to go straight down. If we come down, it will know where we intend to go. To make it the exact length we want, we hit Tab key, and that allows us to tell length. The next thing is angle. In this case, we're at 90. In this case, -90, because we're going straight down. We can just leave that alone. We're going to hit 3 right there, 3 inches. This will make essentially a little circle. That circle isn't a drawing. It's showing us the radius from our originating point where 3 inches is all over if we wanted to move our line. In this case, we're good with our line. We can just hit return. Okay? Now, we have this line here. An easy way to create another line exactly the opposite is if we hit the equal sign, and that mirrors things. Right up here you can see there's 2 options. Duplicate mode is the default. Standard mode means it just moves it. We want duplicate mode. We're going to come to this midpoint, and you can see whenever you touch an object, Vectorworks gives us these little hints, okay? And you can actually adjust those. But in this case, midpoint is fine. We're going to click on that midpoint, hold the shift key down, and pull out either right or left, and that will duplicate that line. So now we know 3 inches up, 3 inches down. We're going to put a circle at each one of those, okay? The hotkeys to make a circle the size you want is 6, 6. 1, 2. Okay, right here. We're going to go into the radius. In this case, the radius is called out, or actually in this case, the diameter. The diameter is called out as 2 inches. Just hit 2. Again, the default for Vectorworks currently, the way it's set up, is inches are the default. You can hit OK. Your little sights, you're going to go like this, and you can tell it's going to naturally want to go there. Once you get close, it knows where you want to go. There is our circle that is 2 inches in diameter. Great. We can do the same thing down here. 6, 6. That comes up. In this case, the radius is, or diameter is 1 inch. Come down, hit 1, hit OK. right there. Now we have 2 circles, okay? This is all in 2 dimensions. In fact, if I hit Shift C, we can fly over, and you can see this is all flat. We are going to make this into 3 dimensions, okay? But it's currently all flat. To reorientate ourselves the way we want to go, right now it says custom view up here. If we hit the 10 key 2, that will bring us back, okay? And we can look at it from the top view. You'll see it's just one line, like a theoretical line. See? So right now we are still essentially flat in a 2D world, or in a 3D world. It's a flat sheet, like philosophical. Okay, it has actually no thickness. Back to the front. Now, this is clearly a hole for like the bird to go into. This is the peg. The hole we want to take out, the peg we want to add thickness to. In this case, it says 3 inches. So here's how we will make that hole. And there's more than one way to do it. I'm going to click on this, hit Shift, click on that hole. So, or circle, it's just a circle. When both of these are selected, right click. Yeah. Come all the way down and see where it says clip surface. Clip the surface. It will know to clip the smaller thing inside of the larger object. Once that's done, those are actually 2 separate things. While it's highlighted, you can see with the orange around it, hit delete. That is now gone. You have a hole. Okay, again, it's still flat. See, it's still flat, but you do have a hole. Now, in order to add dimensions to these things, we're going to select this, and this we're going to now pull out 3 inches. We know the dimension. We can use hotkeys. Command E. That will extrude it. Okay, Command E. Right there. In this case, it's 0 is the default. We want to tell it 3. Okay. Extrusion, 3 inches. That's actually now in 3 dimensions. We might as well make this the thickness it needs to be as well. So we click on this, and you can see how that's called out as 3/4. That's 3/4. In this case, we take it that the material we're using is 3/4 inches thick. Command E, and just change this to 3/4. Hit OK. This and this is now 3 dimensions. Those lines we can get rid of. We don't need them anymore. One way to do it is to select them. As you can see, I'm using the select tool if you know Photoshop, like the marquee tool. Again, select as X. You can see I'm selecting just this and just the line that's underneath. I'm going to hit delete. Our guidelines are gone. Now, we do have to adjust that peg. All right. If we look at this, and look here, you can see you are now in a 3D world. Okay. So what we're going to do with this peg is we are going to pull it out. Okay. There's a lot of different ways to do it. I think the best way is using hotkeys on the 10 key. If you hit 4 or 6, you will be looking at the sides. Okay, this is the left side and the 6 is the right side. You can see there is our peg. There. Okay. Ooh, look at that. Zoom in. Make sure it's actually touching. There we go. I'm going to hit Shift C. That lets us fly around. Okay. You can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. Just like that. So that's our first extruded object. Now, let's look at building the rest of this thing. Okay, 5 on the 10 key gets us back to a top view. Now, we know we need these walls. Okay, again, the drawing, we assume in this case that there's a wall here, a wall there, and a wall there, because we're saying it's a typical birdhouse. All right, so we know the height is 10 inches, and then given the distance is 5.5 back. Okay, so there's a couple ways to do it, depending upon your relationship with math. Now, the hotkeys to make a rectangle is 4, 4. There we go. Remember how we talked about these pips? In this case, let's click this one because that's going to then, I'm going to make it orientate right there. Now, the height and width have changed now because we're looking at it in top view. So the width would be 3/4 the thickness of the material, and the height, and this is where your relationship with math can change. You could do the math in your mind of 5.5 minus 3/4 for the front and 3/4 for the back, because we're taking it, the face is most important. So the material would be inset here. That's a construction choice. Definitely something you might have a conversation with the designer or the props artisan. But in this case, we figure that the front is most important. Okay. So 3/4 and 3/4, we can minus 5.5. One way to do it, so you don't have to worry about doing the math in your mind, is take 5.5. It will accept either fractions or decimal, minus, and remember I said it was 3/4 and 3/4, 1.5. It will actually then give us the right height. In this case, it's height because we're looking at it that way, but overall we would think of it as depth. See how we hit that 9 pip like on the thing? It tells you right there. Boom. So now we have this. Our next step would be Command E, extrude it. We want the height to be 10 inches to match everything else. Hit OK. Now here's another really powerful tool that we actually did use once before. The mirror tool, which is equals sign. You want it on this feature, which is duplicate. Come to this midpoint and look. See the blue lines? It shows where it's going to be placed. While you're holding the shift key, that keeps the locator tool at a 90 degree. You're just going to left click. There it is, right there. Then you can hit X, hit on this, and it will kind of, come off of it. Now, we have to do the last back wall. A lot of different ways to do it, okay? One way, we could do the 4/4 again. 4/4, right there. That's going to give us the pips that we can orientate where it wants to go. It can give us the height, which would be 3/4 in this orientation. The width, the same as the face, 6 inches. Hit OK. And look. Bam. Command E, 10 inches. Now, you're going to see where we made this. It always wants to orientate on the X, on the Z, or the Z on a 0 thing, on a 0 plane. So look, there. Not a big deal. Okay. One, we could have moved this up to the 0 plane, or we can move all of this down. It honestly doesn't matter that much. I'll show you how we do it. I would say go to your side view, which is 4 or 6. Then select this and move this up. Touch it, make sure it's good. There we go, nice and tight. Shift C. You can look at your box. It's 70% done. Okay. We're going to look at it in plan view. A top view, that's 5, because we want to put the bottom on it, okay? And I think the best way to center the bottom, right here, and it says it's 7 inches by 6. There's nothing that says that it shouldn't be centered. As you can see, you know, there's nothing that shows it's asymmetric versus the top. It does say 3 inches here. So we can take that to mean we should just center it, all right? A couple ways to find the center of our project. One, make lines right here from the center. Bam. Just like that. Another way, diagonals. Lines on the diagonals. All of those will center our project, okay? Right there. Now, watch this. It will remember what we just did. 4, 4, 7, and 6. Position it next click. Here we go. Right there at that center. Bam. Command E, 3/4 inch material, like everything else. Boom. Right there, right? Perfect. Okay. Look at it from the face now. Look at that. This is all on this 0. So we could do is move this up 3/4. And you notice I did not select the base. Move this whole thing up. Bam. Okay, there we go. So take a look at our box again. The last thing we have to do is the top. The top is actually a little more complex than it looks, because not only is it an angle, but we have to remove quite a bit of material. So here's how a way to do the top. 5 from the top. We can get rid of all these lines. We don't really need them anymore. I'm just deleting them. Okay, so how to do the top. I'd recommend our friendly 4/4 comes up, and this is a little bit, it's not as important. I might click the back one, 7 inches wide, but it needs to be 10 inches tall. Okay, all right, here we go. And look, we know it's the same as this, right? So we can put it there. Now, the other thing we know is it wants to be 3.5 inches from that point to go off from. All right, so we can do the same thing we did earlier. Sort of. I think the best way to do it is actually on the side. So, Command E, 3/4. We're good. Now, go to the side, right here. It's nice on the top that way. Here would be a way, I think, to do the 3.5 inches. All right, now that we have our top, one way we could know what angle we're taking this at, since we know we need 3.5 inches here, and we know we want 8 inches there, we could draw a line, draw a rectangle, okay? We could do something like this. We could go 4/4, position it like right there. Then we could do width 7. We want it to do 3.5. Height, not that important. Maybe we make it 1/2 inch. Okay, that's going to give us this rectangle, which is we're literally just going to use as a guide. We can Command E this if we want. Make it 3/4 inch. That's totally fine. Now, we go like this. Select both of those things. Push this back till it's right there. Now we know we're at 3.5 to right there, just like it says over here. We can get rid of that. We could have drawn a line. There's many ways you can find how to orientate things. Is we know that if we duplicate this with that mirror key, come down over here, we can look over here and it's at 10 right now. Just make it 8. There. So then we want to hit right here. Here's when we get to use that rotate tool right here. Rotate tool. The hotkeys are Option equals. Once we know the height that we want to go to, in this case 8 inches, you want to click on the object that you want to move. Then the hotkeys, Option equals, pulls up that little baby protractor. That little baby protractor you can then move to right here. Move it to where you want it to come down. Have those two meet. As you can see, they're touching right there. Right click it and it will put it in place. We can get rid of this. This one's just a duplicate. We could have switched that out to standard and it would have just moved it without duplicating it. Now, how do we get rid of the rest of this stuff? There's a few ways, no amazing easy way, but here's how it's kind of commonly done. You click onto, in this case, this big rectangle. We know the angle it's at, and what we're going to do is actually duplicate this big rectangle and then make it even taller. Okay? This is our sacrificial rectangle. This one is going to stay. So what we're going to do with this is actually increase the size of it to like 2 inches deep. So we know that we can make sure we get rid of everything we want to get rid of. Now, push this up so it's the same as our keeping rectangle. The front and back aren't as important, okay, as long as this is completely covered. Then we actually want to make another one of these. I know it seems odd, but you'll see in a minute. So hit that duplicate tool, okay? Click on it. Click on the end so it's nice and straight. You want to keep that angle the same. Now, here's where it gets a little bit interesting. I think the easiest way to do it is hit Command C so you can rotate it, and then switch from shaded to wireframe. You see how, and I'm going to zoom in. This right here, okay, is the roof you want to keep. These are just going to delete this other material. So the way that you would do it is you select, and we're going to select the back, and then you're going to select part of this deleting tool right there. By right click, what happens is comes up subtract solids. You want to hit the subtract solids, and the one that's red, like a redder orange, that's going to stay. The one that's going to be your tool to subtract will stay the original orange. If it looks correct, like it does here, you just want to hit OK. Now you can see this is now cut to fit this top part. Now, you got to actually do it 3 more times. So hit 6, click on this top part, hit your equals, make sure it's on the duplicate mode, click on the one corner, click on the other corner, and then you can just click, and here I'll zoom out. Let me get this high on the screen. So I want one of these sides selected, and I want, I want that selected and that selected. Then I'm going to right click and subtract solids. The correct one is red. You're going to hit OK. There. I'm going to do it again. click onto this, your subtracting tool, hit the equal sign again, go to the corner, come back down. If you hold shift, that will elect you to select more than one object. Then I'll zoom out. You don't have to zoom out. I'm doing it just so you can see what I'm doing. Right click, subtract solids. You can see where it's going to do it. Hit OK. And we have one last one to do. And this one I'll do close up because you get the idea of how you're going to hit the, okay. You select your cutting tool. You're going to hit OK. This one, and in fact, here's a new hotkey. This is the last time we need to do it, so we can actually get rid of this. Up here, you can click between these two, but the other way to toggle between the two is to hit U. U is the hotkey for anything that's up here. All right? So, once we're on this, then you can come to one corner, come to the other corner, and it will move it. Now we want to just do this one last, the face. I'm hitting shift, so both things are selected. I'm going to hover on the two, right click, and then all the way down to subtract solids. Right there, that's orange. You're going to hit OK, like an orange red. There. We'll switch back from wireframe to shaded. There is your birdhouse right there. Boom. So that's it for creating a 3D model of your birdhouse. What we'll start working on next is the orthographic and section views.